set, recording in progress.
Okay, right, we'll start. It's 10 past, so that's
just 2 seconds. So Lulu, you need to help me out with that name. How we say that name? Because I'm probably going to butcher it.
Sawila.
Sawila. Hi Sawila, how you doing? You can put some stuff in the chat.
Yeah, you can respond in the chat if you don't want to come off mic, but this session is being recorded so that you can watch it back later, and also the rest of the UK Pasifika Students Network as well. Yeah. Welcome. We'll make a start. I will just briefly introduce James to us tonight, and then he can tell us a little bit more about himself. I'm basically just going to talk about already what you would have read on the in the poster. James Tomasi Kennedy is a proud Rituman from Suva in Fiji. He's now based here in the UK. He's been he's been here for a while. He's got a lot of experience, 20 years of it in operations and project and program management. Across various industries like financial services, hospitality, education, and utilities. He has contributed to major IT projects as well, so he's got a lot of knowledge in that as well, including the multi-billion-pound Hinkley Nuclear Power Station project in Bristol. Now, what James does nowadays, he is an executive career coach and recruiter. And in the past, he's helped professionals land jobs in 34 countries across the Asia Pacific, the Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Still doing that today. And he's always passionate about paying it forward. We had conversations prior to this call today, and basically why I wanted to set up the call, because James, like us, is from the Pacific. And like some of us, he's been living here in the UK for a while. Some of our students are here just for a short time, but they're going through higher education here and then going back to the Pacific region. But James is going to touch a little bit on what he does for you who are looking to, I guess, restart your career after you do your master's or higher degree, PhDs, maybe here in the UK, and then you go back home. And also for our students in undergrad who are maybe taking a year off before they do their undergrad, or are through their way doing their undergrad degree, on how to think about then making that transition from the academic field into their first role. But I put a link in the chat. I'll put it again at the end of the call if you missed it. And that was for those of you who are quite early into your academic life, I guess, that part of your life. James had done a call for the community, for the Fijian community in the UK a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was geared towards high school students who are transitioning into workplace. So James, I'll give it to you now.
Lulu, first off, I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity to just come in and share this knowledge and give back to the community as well. And so, Lulu, before we start, obviously you've been here a while as well. So can I ask you, from your experience, what do you think is some of the challenges that our Pacific Island community people, when they come over to the UK, what do you think are some of the challenges you see when you're speaking to these students and these people are coming over?
So for me, just right off the bat, what I can think of is some of our students that are here for a short time, the international students, the Pacific international students, because they're so focused on their degree, they're doing, they're focused on the schoolwork, trying to get their studies done, and then they're here very quickly. Especially, we've got a good portion of master's students, so the master's is only a year, and they're in scholarship and things like that. Some of them, I've spoken to some of them, like over the years, some of them have left their job in the islands to come and do this degree and then go back and look for another job. Gotcha. Now, some of them, others who, most likely the ones who work in government, just take the year off, on study leave, come on study leave, and they go back to the same job, and then most of them have go back into a high, more senior position because of their qualifications and all that. But for those that have left, and also those who are going back to their job, I think the perspective shifts a little bit, because they're then got this knowledge behind them. They've got this experience away, in a country like the UK.
Yeah.
Where everything's different, where, you see so much opportunity,
Mm.
and then it gets those gears crunching, like,
Gotcha.
right, I've got this qualification now. I
What do
can
I do next?
definitely do something else, like go somewhere else, get a better career path, or get a better position at work even, like, and it's about then translating their UK experience into the Pacific region, setting,
Gotcha.
and also like leveraging that for working in the region,
Yeah.
including Australia and New Zealand as well,
Yes.
and
Yes.
possibly coming back to the UK as
Why
well.
not?
You
Yeah. If
still
you have
get
the
to like
opportunity, why not? Exactly. So I
yeah, so
completely
it's
understand.
that transition, you know,
Okay.
and doing it quickly so that you're not kind
Yes.
of like um getting then, you're kind of like my boss used to say, coasting.
Yeah.
You just get comfortable
Yeah.
and then you just kind of stay there. This is
Exactly.
okay. I'm just gonna stay like this. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And just to add to what you're saying as well, Lulu, I think as well. For the people that have invested their time, the money, but a commitment to leave the islands and come here and try and invest themselves to do better as well, right? And it's for me, it's the definitely the definition of getting out of your comfort zone as well, right? Because we leave everything we know a comfortable life in Fiji from what we do on a daily basis, and then coming to a completely dark and cold, crazy, and getting used to the culture, the way they do things here, the cold, right? Depending on where you are. So there's a lot of the challenges coming in, and us as islanders having to adapt not to the way they study, everything, but everything as well. Doing that, and so, yeah, you can't help but having your eyes open to new opportunities and new ways of doing things. Definitely, I can see where you're coming from, and I'm confident what we're going to share today and what I'm going to talk about is going to help with that. And Lulu, as I talk through the workshop today, you're going to be my wingman, if that's okay, right? As to say,
Okay.
or wingwoman, as to say, I'm going to ask questions, and through your
Okay.
experience as we go through all of this, and then for anyone watching in the chat, in the on the with a just use the chat, and then we can talk through
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you want to come off mute as well, please
Yes,
join in the
exactly.
conversation.
Yes.
There's just a number of us here today.
Yeah.
So feel free to chime in with your experience as
Yes.
well, or questions as well. Yeah.
And I want to let everyone on this call know that this session is not for me. This session is for you guys, right? So use me and abuse me as much as you can in this time we have together, because like I said, this is what I do on a daily basis, right? So ask the questions in there, and I will. And like I said, I'm an open book. You ask the question, I will look to answer it as quickly as possible. So if I just share my slides quickly, right? Today I'm talking about how we can stand out from the crowd, right? Right, this is what it is, and it says student edition. But what we're talking about here, when I say student edition, is university students, right? And as we talked about earlier, these are some of you are come to the UK. You've got work experience, or you come in and you're learning some new skills, and you're looking to go back and then figure out what you want to do next, right? So I just want to share that, and just to carry on quickly from the um, introduction earlier, just to go through quickly, I said, my name is James Tomasi Kennedy from Fiji, of Rutuman descent, and lived now in the UK for over 20 years. Um, uh, I have 20 years working in corporate, so education, retail, financial services, civil nuclear engineering, talked about, and I've supported some multi-billion IT projects. So me coming into this, coming into recruitment, coming into career coach, is from understanding what hiring managers need because I've done it for so long, and in different industries. Okay, so when I look at this, for me, it's not about industry specific. It's not about country specific. It's the same challenges all over the world. Okay. And I also want to say as well that I'm like all of you university students and all this, I've always invested in myself. So when I come into this, I want to tell you that not only I got a master's degree, I got all this, I've also taken time in thousands in personal development, marketing, sales to improve myself. Okay. Because for me is to say, how do I help you guys? How do I help the Pacific? And what I'm doing is it's all about shortcuts, right? Why reinvent the wheel when I can learn from all these successful people and take all the skills and stuff that they're doing, and then I do this well? Okay. And I also want to tell people that I'm a neuro-linguistic practitioner as well. What that means is NLP, I can hypnotize people if they give me permission. right? But Lulu, you're safe. We're not doing any hypnotism today. But what I want to talk about in terms of that is the power of words. The power of words when we speak to other people, but more importantly, the power of words when we speak to ourselves, right? Because we know we laugh and we joke, but I always tell people all the time, we don't need any enemies. Right, Lulu? We don't need our mind will self-sabotage ourselves all by our own self, right? We don't need any help. Thank you very much. Okay. That's one of the things I talk about as well is to say, um, that you be careful of the words you use on yourself because words have power and words have meaning. Okay. So this is just what I wanted to just highlight there, first of all, as we go through all of this. Um, and like I said, talked about early career already. And then the other thing I want to say to people as well, and I'm very for me, it's knowledge does not equal power. Yes, you guys got these master's degrees, you're going through this university, you got all this experience, right? But knowledge, what I'm sharing today is also knowledge. And it does not equal power because if we don't use it, it's just another training session and useless, right? We have to actually use it. And I always tell people as well, no one is coming to save you. I tell all my clients of this on the day, say, I'm here to help and support you, but you have to stand up and help yourself and do the work to help yourself because no one's going to do it for you. Right. And that's what I talk to all my people. I said, you want it bad enough? We have to go after it ourselves. Right. There's people along the way like myself can help and support, but it's your career, it's your life. You need to decide how you want to do things. So, like I said, 34 different countries talked about earlier. These are some of the companies that you might know that have helped put people in all over the world, right? Deloitte, United Nations, Meta, PwC, all these things, all these companies, sorry, right? And this is just some of them, the more well-known, right? Because I work with people all over the world, and but these are some of the more UK and more common ones this side of the world, right? Uh, but it didn't start out that way, funnily enough, right? As I was telling Lulu on a previous call, I'm from an all boys Catholic school in Fiji. And growing up, I didn't know how to talk to girls, right? And like I said, I was the shy introvert growing up, right? I hated public speaking. I hated the sound of my voice. And I'm also a first generation immigrant to the UK. Okay. So for me, all this coaching stuff, all this, psychology, public speaking stuff. This was definitely not what I grew up with growing up. We have family, like all of us who have family back home that, doctors, nurses, engineers, economists, all these great jobs, but none of it was what I wanted to do, right? And it didn't feel right. So I struggled for a long time with clarity of what my purpose and everything, right? And because of that, I think that's one of the reasons why, Lulu, that I've transitioned to 8 different careers because I tried all these jobs and I loved all these jobs and I learned so much from every single job I was in. But there was something in there to saying, maybe I'm meant for more. That was the question always in my mind. Maybe I'm meant for more. So that's why I took the risk. And that nothing in life is guaranteed, right? You take the risk and you go out and you do something different and see how it goes. And the older we get, it's more harder, isn't it, Lulu? We have family, we have responsibilities, we have bills to pay. So how the hell are you going to take these risks and go and do all these other things as well? So as I said, in midst of all those things, it says that, I've been made redundant 3 times. What the sentence doesn't tell you is that I put my hand up for redundancy 3 times. The company was giving money to go. It's like, okay, I have the opportunity to take that money and go and invest in myself and go do something else. So I took it every single time. And now, through all of these things, what I've realized along the way is me being a shy introvert, me struggling to communicate, me hating public speaking, everything makes me a better coach because I know the challenges of what my clients go through, right? And especially for us as Pacific Islanders. Um, for me, I don't know about you, Lulu, but for me, coming into UK was the imposter syndrome, right? We're coming from Fiji to this very highly developed UK and super sophisticated. Well, right? Well, that was in my mind, right? Not feeling good enough, imposter syndrome, and all these things was things and challenges that I had to overcome before I could become a better coach. And that, like I said, is that's part of my journey, part of what I needed to do to get to where I am today. And so, Lulu, let me ask you a question. When you were growing up, did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
No, and the reason why I say no, because now in hindsight, I remember there were it changed almost every year really. From
Mm,
about I would say about eight, I
Wow.
started to think about it. Yeah, because I remember a conversation I had with my parents at about 8. I was a couple of years away from going into boarding school,
Okay.
and then and my parents, because I was a very talkative child, they they said that I was going to be a lawyer. So I always thought about that, but it wasn't something that I'm, like that you develop a passion for.
Yes.
So that didn't catch. And then when I went to boarding school, I don't know what it was that I saw, but I wanted to be an astronaut at one point in my life.
Nice.
Might have been a program that I had seen in Fiji, something to do with NASA or whatever. And then that kind of decided what kind of subjects as well that I took in school.
Okay.
And then what did I want to do after that? There was something else that I wanted to do after that. Oh, right. From again, media influence, watching movies and things. I wanted to be a forensic scientist or something like that. I think that
Okay.
was
Was
forensic
that
forensic
watching
scientist, yeah.
too much CSI and all that sort of stuff?
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And then you think about it in hindsight and you think, wow, because at certain ages you're very impressionable. So,
Yes.
but honestly, like when I exited the school system at secondary school, by then I was in Tonga.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd grown up in Fiji, did all my schooling in Fiji, and then finished the rest of the schooling in Tonga. And by the time I exited secondary school in Tonga, I really didn't know what I wanted. All I wanted to do was get out of secondary school. That was at that point in my life,
Mm.
um, kind of like 17, 18,
Yeah,
18.
yeah, yeah.
I just didn't want to be in the school system anymore. Yeah. So no, like no one really, and we don't have career. I don't know about now, but back then they didn't have career teachers in schools like they have
Yes.
overseas, like in the
Exactly,
countries like the
exactly.
UK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So,
No,
so,
they don't.
so I can see, but I still admire that you had an idea and you explored it, and then see where it
Yeah.
goes, and then you change that. When I was a teenager, and at that age, I didn't have a clue what the heck I wanted to do, and I used to get jealous, and I used to get pissed off with all the people that see me. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. It's like, how do you know? You know what I mean? It's just like, and I was jealous because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. And I did one of those career tests, and I did it. And then when it came out, it said, Lulu, that I should consider studying psychology, right? So I go to my mom and I said, "Hey, Ma, this says I should study psychology. What do you think?" Mom turns around and says, "Are you mad?" Right? And that was my end of my psychology degree. And I was like, okay, fine, like a good son. If psychology is not the way to go, I go to university and I study business studies. Because in my mind, if you don't know what you want to do, everything needs business, right? And along the way, we'll figure it out. So I finished my business studies degree and I come out and I still didn't have a clue what the hell I wanted to do. And fast forward 20 plus years later, and after 8 different jobs and after 8 different careers, today I'm teaching people all over the world about career clarity, okay, sales, marketing, storytelling, and psychology. So many years later, and this is what I'm learning under now. And for me, it's just like, wow, right? And all I want to say from that story for everyone else is, whatever the dreams you are when you're young and life happens and it goes different ways, it's never too late to change careers. I've changed careers 8 times. Whatever you want to do next, there's always a way. And the skills we're going to learn today can help with that. All right. So, Lulu, as you're on the call with me here, if I was to ask you right now on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, how would you rate your CV? And if you guys ask in the chat, you can put numbers in the chat as well, and I'll come back to those as well. Lulu,
I would say mine would be about a 7 at the moment,
good job.
hovering between 7 and 8. Yeah.
Brilliant,
It
brilliant.
used,
Love that.
used for a long time. It stayed at about 4 to 5. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you've done some work to it, and now it's about a 7. So I always ask this question to everyone I speak to when I'm coaching with them, right? And I've had all sorts, but the average when I'm working with CEOs, senior directors, heads of state departments, heads of military generals, 5-star military generals, and I ask this question, 6 or 7 is the average I get, even at that high level. because you can still get to a high level without the CV and stuff, because it's also about, who you know. It's not just what you know, it's who you know, and the politics, and being in the right place at the right time sometimes can help you get the job. At the same time, I tell people, yes, that's great and all that, but imagine how much powerful we can be if we ourselves rated our CV at a 10 or a 9, right? Um, I've spoken to people, Lulu. The reason why I asked this question, I've spoken to people where when I start with them, they tell me zero. Right? I've had a CEO I've spoken to, I said, my CV is a zero right now. So for me, I already know before we even work on the CV, I have to work and help them with the mindset and the confidence first before we talk about the CV itself, right? So it's just for me an indicator of where people are and how they feel about things, and that's why I put that there. And so, right, the thing I always tell people up front, me being a hiring manager in the past, that hiring managers don't care about you. Okay. And what I say from that as a hiring manager, and Lulu, I know you in recruitment as well, right? So you get so many CVs to look at on a daily basis, right? And you're sourcing and you're trying to find, and there's so many things to do. And for the hiring manager, I always tell people, myself in the past, when I was looked after teams, there's so many things to do on a daily basis. There's so many fires, right? You have to deal with the customers, deal with the team, deal with your bosses. You're fighting fires all the time. And in the midst of all of that, we need to find the right person to come in and help us fight those fires while fighting the fire at the same time, right? So time is a precious commodity. I know so many times where I'm dealing with a situation here and then have a break, have an interview, and go back and deal with another situation in the past, right? And it's not to say that every company is like this, but a lot of companies, everyone's having to do more with less sometimes, right? So, like I said, everyone's busy. So, what I always say is that most candidates, even senior directors, even CEOs, they talk about themselves on their CV. Okay. And I tell people, if you think of a job description as a list of problems, focus on how you can come in and fix those problems on the job description. Those problems are the key words, right? Those are the problems they are. And you think of them as problems, show them how you fix similar problems in the past and to do that. And like I said, for me, it's all about shortcuts. How can we do this quicker, faster, and easier? Because we're all busy as well. Life doesn't stop just because we're applying for jobs. Okay. So as people are doing all these things, I'll say, okay, how can I make it quicker, faster, and easier? All right. So Lulu, here's a question for you. What do you think are the three most common objectives any business needs to survive? What do they have in common? Put in the chat, anyone
Bottom
else as well.
line,
Bottom line, yes, thank you. Anything else?
the people,
People, thank you. Anything else?
um, and the product.
Bottom line, people and the product. All correct answers. All correct answers. And when I'm talking to people about the CV, the three things I said I'm always looking for on everyone's CV is the first is revenue, right? It doesn't matter what kind of business you are, you need revenue to survive. Even NGOs and nonprofits need funding to come in to survive, right? So without the money, without the revenue coming in, you can't do anything. The second thing that every single business needs to survive is process improvements. Because if you can do the same process in half the time, you're saving both time and money. That's common in every single business. And then the third thing of every single business out there, if they're legal, is regulatory compliance. So if you think about it in very basic and common terms, every business needs to be making money, saving money, or avoiding paying money out. So what I tell people is when you're telling me the story of the stuff, the problems you fixed in the past, it needs to connect to one of those three common things in every single business. I also work with a lot of people that transition careers. So if you're transitioning careers, you need to focus on what's common in every single business, right? Those three things, when we go through the next part, it's all about those three things. Whatever you do, connect it to one of those, and then I, as a hiring manager, can connect how you can come and help me. Okay, so most people know the STAR method, right? And it's a framework on how you tell your story in an interview. When I was younger, I knew about this process, but I didn't really use it. And I was one of those people that when I get nervous, I start rambling. right? I keep talking and talking, and I don't know how to stop. And I've been in interviews where I'm talking, and I know I've answered the wrong question, but I'm so nervous that I keep on going anywhere. And then and it's uncomfortable silence when I stop and I think I'm done. It's like, oh shit, I've already messed up there, right? So the STAR method is how you tell a story in an interview, but I want to show people how you can tell the same story on your CV as well, right? So situation, the situation was this, the task was that, the action was this, the result is this, okay? My company, Superstar Recruitment, I've renamed the STAR method into the Superstar, right? And yes, it's like fun and games, but there's a method to the madness in what we're doing. Because if we think of a job description as a list of problems, these are the things you're coming in to do, right? Our role as the candidate is to convince the hiring manager that you're the best person to come in and fix those problems. Right? That's the mindset. So it's not just the framework, it's a mindset. I'm a problem solver. I'm going to come in and I'm going to solve your problem. Okay, so the way we do this is Lulu, most people start with the job with the CV first when they're working it out, right? And I tell people, no, 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 you're doing it the wrong way around. Read the job description first, understand their key problems, and then you take those key problems and then you tell your story based on those key problems. Okay, and I'll show you how we do that. So the keyword for this one here I've taken out is process improvements, right? Everyone needs process improvement. So we tell the story. Now we're doing a Talano session, right? And telling the story there. What's the problem? For example, information received from the sales team on contracts of up to 300 million euros, sometimes incorrect and take up to 2 hours or more to resolve. Okay. So when you're writing it out, when you think about the problem, think about how many people does this problem impact? Are all these people in one building, or are they across all over the country? Right? What else? How much training is involved? How much level of change needs to happen to put in? Right? These are all complex problems that a lot of people are doing on a daily basis. And I just wanted to highlight that this problem here was, we told the story from someone dealing with administration, sales administration, right? So she's just telling the story about the impact of the problem she had to deal with, right? So fair enough, paint the story about the problem there, situation. And then the task is obviously, what did you have to do? What problem? So look at ways to make the process more efficient and get it right the first time. Right. And when we're doing this, I always tell people, write it out, write out your stories. Because when you write it out from here and you put it onto a piece of paper, it also helps you memorize it as well. Okay. Because not only are you writing down your stories for your CV to help you land the interview, what we're doing here is writing down the stories that when you get into the interview is what you talk about in the interview as well. Okay. So I always talk about alignment. The story that helps you land the interview is the story you expand on in the interview to close the deal. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here. And then the action is all about how did you do it? Right? This is the problem. This is my task and the action, and this is how I fixed it. Yes. And then we go into the three common things, the so what, as I call it, right? Whatever you do, show me how it makes you either make money, save money, avoid paying money out. And so here is a reducing processing time from 2 hours down to 30 minutes, improve customer service by getting information right the first time, improve training and understanding of the process between departments. Common things when you're solving problems. Yes, Lulu? Yeah? Um, it is. Okay, and you can see here as well, as you go through all of this, that's quite a lot of information to write. Yes, and it's like, how the heck do you put this in a CV? And it's like, that's what this is to get you the story, and then after we can take it apart to put it into this. Okay, so on the CV, what I tell people is you will have your introduction, and then we're going to talk about this section here, which is the key achievements or the career highlights section, straight after the introduction of your CV. Okay, and in here you say, okay, one of the keywords is process improvements. And then you see we've got two sentences here. Okay. The first one is talking about the problem. The second one talks about the results. Yeah. And you see here, what we've done here is there's a process I call signposting. Oh, you need process improvement? Lulu's in resourcing, so she knows what to say. What I'm trying to do is to make your job easier, right, Lulu? You're looking for processing. Here's process improvements. And here's a story I've done in the past that shows you how I've solved problems, process improvement in the past, right? Because Lulu, as a resourcer, you sometimes are sifting for roles that you might not be a specialist in, correct? Right? So my job as I do this here is to make it simple that even the resourcer, even the recruiter, even the HR person, before getting the hiring manager, can still understand what I'm talking about, even though Lulu's not a technical expert in what we're doing. Okay, so what we're doing here as well is simplifying our language and simple enough and telling a story that's relevant for what Lulu's looking for as a recruiter resource. Right? So revamped a sales process that previously took up to 2 hours for contracts up to 300 million. We understand the problem and the complexity of the problem. Streamline the procedure by 75%, secured stakeholder buy-in, ensured minimum business disruption. Yeah? Simple enough, Lulu?
Yep, yep, yep.
Cool.
This makes
So,
it very clear. Yeah.
and what I'm doing here, guys, you can see the words highlighted in blue are what they call action verbs. Yes.
Mhm.
And it's in the past tense because it's examples and problems we've already fixed.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's specific there. And you say revamp, streamline. So when they say action verb, these are movement verbs. And CVs, as Lulu will tell you, is so boring to read sometimes. People talk about themselves. Like, I don't care about you. I want to make sure you can help me with my job, right? So give them stories. Look at the job, the keywords, put it in there. Oh, yes, you look for process. Yeah, I remember dealing with this in the past. This problem, here's the problem, here's the result. Okay, so Lulu, if you look at this, let me ask you a question. On this example here, it talks about the problem and it talks about the result. If you're looking at this like a resourcer, what's missing from the STAR method that we haven't talked about at all on this statement here, Lulu?
So you got the situation,
The
how
task,
you did it.
how you did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When do you get to find out the how, Lulu?
During the interview
What's the point of a CV?
to get you to the interview.
To get you to the interview. People want to give me a 9 page history lesson of everything they've done. It's like, I don't care what you've done. Just give
Yeah.
me what I need to do to make a decision like that. People are
That's it.
lazy.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
lazy, right? And so what we're doing here is making Lulu's job easier, right? As a resource, as a recruiter, as a HR person, is to say, I don't know anything about this technical role they asked me to, but this person is talking about process improvements, and this is what it looks like here, and this is the result. I need to learn more about that. Okay, so for a key achievements, for those of you at university and have already experience, you're looking at a minimum 5 different stories on your key achievement section, right? And it's one of those things where you got to look at the job description and say, okay, for this role, these are the 5 most common ones. Okay, so I need to put stories for those 5 ones, right? Lulu, can you tell me what this bullet point looks like before process improvements, please?
Mm. What do you mean, James?
The process improvements, there's a little bullet point on the side over there. What do you think that looks like?
Oh, let's tick a check mark
Why do we have a check mark?
because you've done it.
Because we've done it, right? So there's I'll call it my ninja trick, right? Because it's a visual affirmation and a visual
Yes.
confirmation of what you're looking for anyway. Okay.
Hmm.
I've had candidates come back to me and they say, the hiring manager said, thank you for my CV, right? How many times has Lulu looked at CVs and say, thank you so much for making my job easier? Okay.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
process is like, oh my gosh, so boring, because imagine trying to read a book that you don't enjoy and there's 100 pages to read from all these different people in different styles and all these sort of things, right?
Sometimes 200,
Yeah,
300 you have to get through. Yeah.
exactly, right? So
And you
my
need to stand out.
and they
Mm.
need to stand out. And I tell people is when you, like I said, people is on to say, people want to tell me, I tailor my cover letter and then it's a one size fit all CV. And I was like, there's no guarantee your cover letter is going to be read, right? If there's 200 applications, that's minimum 400 pages Lulu has to read through, right, to make a decision. And you want to add
Yeah.
another, and you want to add a cover letter as well. That's 600 pages. Who's got
Yeah.
time to read 600 pages for one application when she's got 5, 10 other jobs she's looking for at the same time?
That's it.
Nobody.
Hmm.
Nobody, right? So make the process easier by understanding their problems and tailoring your story to what they're looking for. Okay. Now, as I said before, when we look at this, you'll think, that's too much work. And I said, yes, It is a lot of work, but when you do the work up front, it makes it so much easier to tailor your CV in the future. So as you can see from this example, process improvements are the keyword, and the story is related to process improvements. Okay. Now, if I look at the same key achievement, and now I call it stakeholder engagement. The keyword has changed now for stakeholder engagement. The story has changed slightly to match stakeholder engagement. Okay. Let me think of that. Once you have 5 different stories and you have a bank of stories you can build on, now, based on what they're looking for, you change the keyword and the story just needs to match it. Okay. And guys, if you're not using ChatGPT, basically this understand how it's done, and then you put it into ChatGPT to revise and review it for you. Make sure that you're talking about the problem as the first sentence and the result as the second sentence, right? Because we want them to call you. So make it to them. You can put it into ChatGPT, but use your words first, guys, right? Look at it, see what ChatGPT says, meld it together, make it so much easier. So all I did was this went into ChatGPT after I had done the initial work. This is what it said. I like it. I copied and pasted here. And then I told ChatGPT, okay, change the keyword up front to stakeholder engagement and reword it for me. And this is what it go in. Okay. And make sure that you remember this and you understand this and put it there, right? So you need at least 5 of these here as you go through. Okay. So that's there. And so what I want to talk about, guys, is the benefits of this method. It highlights the best of you up front. It showcases what you can do before you get to the career history section. Okay. And it helps you to lead the conversation where you want it to go. Right. Especially for those of you that have a lot of experience. I don't know what to put on there. Lead by what the job description is asking for, and then you tailor your message accordingly. Okay, you're giving the customer exactly what they want up front, and they're going to love you for it. And the great thing about this is, for example, for those of you that might have had several different roles, worked in several different projects, right? When I talk about highlighting the best of you up front, that's regardless of when you do it, right? It could be a project that you did from your very first job 10, 15 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's showing me the complexity of the problems you've solved in the past and the result of that. And the hiring manager thinking, oh, you've done that before. Can you come and do something for me as well? Okay. And especially for those of you that have a career gap, right? People worry, talk about career gaps a lot. I said, no, don't worry about the career gap, because a key achievement section before your career experience side allows you to give the best of you up front before they see a career. Okay, so the problem with the reverse chronological history section, it's in chronological order, but people don't care about the order of your life. They care about what you can do for them. Yes, so if you understand that, give them what they want as quickly as possible. Right, leads the conversation where you want it to go. So like I said, as we get to the end of this, right, understand, how do you rate your CV now? Not do you understand that? Okay, think about the number, what it was before, and then what it is now. Okay, just like knowing that you know this, you got to do the work in all this. But how do you rate your CV now that you understand this? Yes, this is what I'm talking about. And a lot of times I'm going to go from zero, moved up a few points. Some people go from 6 to 7, go up higher. Whatever it is, it's just a rating that you've done yourself, right? Because one of the things I tell people, you see, people think when they come to me, they're coming for a CV course. This is not a CV course. That's the tool to help you. But this is actually a confidence course, right? A confidence and a mindset course to say that if we can change the words on how we speak to ourselves, to change the words and understand the value of the work that we're doing and how much money it's helping a company, how much time and it's saving a company, right? How much the company is avoiding we're paying fines by making sure that all the compliance is done. It'll help you understand the value of the work and put a number to it as well. Okay. And it improves our confidence. And this is one of the biggest things that helped me as a shy introvert come out of my shell and do things that I wouldn't normally do. Right. So just want to add that there as well. Uh, Right. And as we wrap this up, I just want to say, it's not enough to know how good you are. You have to authentically believe it and feel it, right? Confidence is an inside job. It doesn't matter what I say or what anyone else says. You have to have the confidence in yourself. And once you understand that and you're confident in what you know and what you can do, that's when the magic happens. Okay. Nobody can tell you how you're supposed to feel. Only us can do that. So that's why I say confidence is an inside job. Right. So Lulu, just from you, you work on this on a daily basis. What did you think about the process and what we've gone through so far? Just, as we're talking through this.
Well, James, I believe that you have, even for me, from the other side of the table, so to speak, um, you've clarified some things for me. Like most of the time when I'm working now I'm working in recruiting, I don't really think about my own CV,
Yes.
but like from, coming to watch this and looking at it, like you said, as a problem to solve.
Yeah.
That your CV and that your CV is supposed to be that's supposed to highlight all of the things that that particular job is trying to to solve.
Yeah.
And then from the other side of the table where I'm actually the recruiter and sourcer, um, and you mentioned about having to look through so many CVs. That is so true, because like right now I'm working on volume
Yeah.
recruitment,
Yeah.
so it is 300 odd CVs in
Gotcha.
one role. Like, and it's a
Gotcha.
multi head count role, yes, but still you're going to have to look through the 300 CVs,
Yes.
and if it doesn't catch your eye, it doesn't have, because you've got like there's a statistic actually. I think this is a UK statistic, but the average time a recruiter has to look at someone's CV or to screen it, doing the CV screen, is 6 seconds.
Got. Yes.
6 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly
So
that, right?
in 6 seconds, you have to, have caught the eye of the recruiter so that you could
Yes.
even get into like a telephone screen.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So as you see, Lulu, as I said, because I know what the experience of, and just to let you know, Lulu, I'm sorry that you're going to be even more pissed off at looking at the CVs now. You know how it's supposed to be done to make your job easier, right? And so, like I said to you, is everything's a problem, right? So for me, when I look at the whole process, oh, good, because what happened was one of my clients, I helped her land a job, and then she set up her own consultancy, and she invited me to be the HR director for her consultancy for a while and help with the recruitment. And in less than an hour, she had 60 applicants for one role, and said, "Turn it off. That's enough. Turn it off." Right?
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
had the joy of reviewing 60 CVs in 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was the worst 2 hours of my life
Mhm.
because I looked at the whole process and it's like, oh no, this is just rubbish. So what the heck? What am I doing? It was so painful that
Mhm.
no one can pay me enough to do your job, Lulu.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
That's like I said. This like there's got to be a better way. But Lulu, just out of interest from what you saw, and you said you were a 7 in the beginning.
Mhm.
Knowing what you know now and what you can do to improve it for the future, what number would you give your potential for your CV now?
Oh, I've got my CV. Then after this, is definitely like 4 or 5.
No, no, no,
And
no, no. The future CV once you
oh, in the
fix it.
future, oh no, I can definitely like move it closer to 10. Yeah,
Right?
after
That's the
after
whole
this.
point. You see, so
Yeah,
that's
because part of it, James, I'm going to just bring this up, and I don't know
yeah,
if anyone else has the same problem.
yeah,
Um, you know, um, um, some of our attendees may have, slightly different variations of this problem depending on how much experience they've had. But at this point of your career as well, you're trying to figure out what's the best thing to live on and take off, because you've been in certain
yes,
industries for a while. Like you said,
yes.
you've transitioned 8 times. I think I've done 8 to 10. Yeah. And I've just been like doing different jobs for a while. And
Yeah,
part of the jobs was like redundancy. Like I was moved out of a role because of redundancy. So
yeah.
I had to go and look for something else. Like I've been redundant once, twice, 3 times in my life as well.
See,
Yeah.
same as me, right? Like I
Um,
said, and
yeah.
and that's
But
what
I didn't get any money for any of it.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
It
They
was the
paid
other
me to
kind of
go.
redundancy, not the
Yeah.
voluntary redundancy. Yeah.
Oh, goodness, goodness.
Yeah. So that can be tough. And then
That can be very tough.
you make choices then that you kind of like think, you kind of make a choice in desperation, really, to be
Yes,
honest.
yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
definitely, and so just to touch on a couple of points you just said there, Lulu. When I speak to people, it's like, hey, you know what? All this dream job and stuff is nice and everything, but at the end of the day,
Mhm.
you guys got to do what you need to do to pay, pay the bills and look after your family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the thing. Hey, if you need to go get a job, work in the supermarket, driving taxis, whatever, but delivery
Yeah.
and all that, just do it. But what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say to people, while you're doing that to pay the bills, then you
Mhm.
have more breathing space for looking for something better.
That's it.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. The problem is a lot of people get stuck doing something, and because it took so long to find the job, they said, "I'm just going to stick to this," right?
Yeah.
And they
The
got into the
stability.
comfort
People
zone.
want stability. Yeah.
Yes.
They want stability. And I guess even for Pacific Islanders, I'm finding from
Yeah.
my experience, from in the islands as well, because it's a small market, job market. Again, people like the stability, like and then only if you get to very senior roles like later on in life, then you kind of like can jump from role to role. But from what I've seen, just personally, it's the people who take the risks are the ones that get the
Yes.
really good
Yes.
opportunities that go regional and then they go international as well.
Yes, exactly. The two things you just said there, I want to add, touch on as well, Lulu. The problem is when we, like you said, we have so much experience, and I'm working with senior
Yeah,
directors with 30 plus years experience, right? What the
yeah,
heck do you take off? And I said,
yeah,
well, you see, that's why, because you're looking at it from your lens. I said, look at it from
yeah.
the job description's lens and understand what they want. Okay. And for those of you that more than 10 plus years of experience, you only need the first 10 years of experience on your
Mhm.
CV, and then everything else, just put it under one early career history and one or two lines to put it all together, right? Because
Right.
they don't need to know everything you've done. And if there
Yeah,
is a relevant example, the whole point of a key achievement section, think of your the summary at the back of the book. Think of the
right.
thesis where you do the introduction, right? What we're doing here is just changing the first half page of your
Yeah,
CV. Everything else, career history, everything's going to stay the same. What you're
yeah,
tailoring it there, and what we're doing in the key achievements, you're not you're not changing the story every time. You're changing the keyword up front,
yeah,
right? So from process improvement, you see, I changed it to stakeholder engagement because
yeah.
that's what they're looking for, right? So you're
Mhm.
just swapping out the words to match what they're looking for. And I
Mhm.
talk to people about the power of words. Okay. Every single company out there have their own jargon and the way they speak, their own
That's
unique
right.
language in each and every company. So I tell people, if you understand that, it's not how you say it, it's how they say it. And when you put their words on the CV, Lulu's looking for those exact keywords, exactly how they're
Exactly.
looking for,
Mhm.
right? She might not understand it, but that's what they're looking for, so I'll put it in there, right? And the thing about it, understanding psychology and understanding human nature. When people talk like us, especially as Pacific Islanders, we
Yeah,
already know this person is already one of us. They're part
yeah,
of the tribe, they're part of our people. Okay, so what we're doing here, there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of psychology in the way it's set it out, and very subtle psychology. This, especially from the other side, from Lulu saying, "Wow, this person understands me. This person is making my life so much easier." Right?
yes.
What you're doing there, the person on the other side already loves you before you come in the door. I've had multiple candidates land jobs from the very next interview because the standards of CVs out there is so bad at the moment,
That's it.
so bad at the moment because nobody knows how. Okay.
Mhm.
And for all of you doing masters, one of my clients I'm working with right now is a PhD graduate in pharmacology from Harvard Medical School, and she's
Mhm.
struggling to find a job, right? So I'm thinking, what the heck's the university's doing? All this investment, especially for Pacific Island students, all this investment
Mhm.
from themselves and the government to come here, the government's not helping to find them jobs.
Mhm.
Right? The career services, I looked at the salary for some of the career services for all these universities. It's terrible.
It's
It's like
very, yeah,
it's
very
very,
low.
very low. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no incentive for people like me to go into a university because they can't afford me.
That's an interesting, just a little segue, James. So
Yeah.
when I completed my master's, I actually thought that I was going to go into academia until I saw the salary range.
Right. It's like, why? Especially in this country, why would you want to do this? It's like you can't afford to buy a house or any of those things, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's challenges and everything like that. It's like, no, I'm meant for more. I'm not going to
Mhm,
be tied down by what there's things. And so, like, that's why I work with executives from all over the world. And
mhm,
and what I want to say to people, like, it doesn't matter the industry, the culture, anything like this. This is human nature psychology 101, right? Hiring managers hate looking at CVs all over the world because the pain points are the same. Nobody else to do it, right? So that's why I've helped people in 34 countries because the problems are the same all over the world. That's what we're doing here. Okay. And so, Lulu, here's another question for you as well, seeing as you're on the call with me. Besides the job search, where else can we use these skills in our career?
Um, in the interview,
In
like,
the interview, so the skill,
yeah,
the story that gets you the interview, you
okay,
expand on the how in the interview, right? So, like
yeah,
I said, yes, in the
yeah,
interview as well.
but
What
in
else
the
happens in a career? What happens like in your current role? Something
for
that happens
promotion,
for promotion, most definitely promotion.
promotion, going to the
Yeah,
next level, right?
going to the
Yes.
next level. Yes, okay.
Mhm.
But also, what's something that happens for most companies either twice a year or once a year?
Bonus.
Bonus, performance
It's the
review,
performance reviews, right?
performance
Yeah.
review. Okay,
Even better if it's tied to a bonus. Yes.
exactly, even better, right? But what I'm trying to tell people here, you see, what we're doing here is that number from a 6 to almost a 10, as I told you earlier, Lulu, 7
Yeah.
to almost a 10, that's not just the CV, that's a confidence rating in yourself now.
Hmm.
Because you know your worth, you know your value, and you know how to
Hmm.
articulate it now.
Yeah.
Yes. So, like I said, is when you can articulate, like I've been a manager, Alexa. I've been a manager looking after teams, and also my senior managers looking after me as well. Okay. Performance reviews are one of the worst things in most companies because it's the blind leading the blind leading the blind, right? It's a tick box exercise, it's a paperwork
Yeah.
exercise because even the bosses don't know how to do this, right?
Hmm.
So one of the things I'm saying is so um, when you can explain the problem and the value of putting the fixing the problem into metrics,
Hmm.
your boss can now use those stats and those figures, and they can go and manage upwards and say, "Oh, this is what my team has done. These are some of the stats and figures there, right?" So you're making your hiring manager's job easier, and then it's going to be much easier for them to justify a bigger and higher, better bonus for you as well, right? As I
Hmm.
said, what I'm saying is you're more confident, you can explain. And for those of you looking for bonus and promotion, I always tell people your performance review there should not be any surprises in your performance review. That's
Yeah.
just the final
Yeah.
thing. So what I mean by that is you need to be managing the expectations of your manager. You need to be
Mhm.
feeding back all the problems you're doing to the manager all the way through
Yeah.
the year. Okay.
Yeah.
I was one of those people, Lulu, that hated this process and hated
Mhm.
selling and promoting myself. Right.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
always thought that my work should be able to speak for itself.
Yeah. That's the old way of thinking, right? Like,
Yes,
like this expectation that, oh, and then you think, right, they should know what I've done. But if you don't keep a record of it, they have to manage other people. If you don't keep a record of it and come and, blow your own trumpet at the performance reviews, they have no idea.
exactly.
And then
Exactly.
we get like we get kind of like insulted if
Yes.
when we don't do it. Like
Yes, and I used to be like that as well. Why can't they see what they're doing, right? And what I've learned along the way that it's not enough to have your work speak for yourself, or
Mhm.
speak for itself. We need to be able to communicate the value of our work, because, like I said, our career is ours, not theirs. So why are you
Exactly.
leaving the power? Why are you giving the power of determining what you want to them, right? And especially for those of you looking to go to senior manager, next level there, right?
Mhm.
You need your boss advocating for you. So you need to share what you're doing with your boss so that your boss can also move up as well. Share what, because like you said, you make your boss look good, they will look after you
Yeah.
and push you up to the next level as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the
Yeah.
same time, there's a caveat out there that there's some bosses out there that don't have your best interest at heart,
No.
right?
Mhm.
And like I say, as soon as you can see that you're identified, start planning
Mhm.
your exit,
Exit. Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And while you have a job, start planning your exit,
Mhm.
right? Because, like I said, I've left and jumped in 8 different careers. There's people I've worked with from 15 years ago still in the same job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I said, if you're here on a university degree, you're here, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone already. This can help you go into the next role, be there following it, but also start planning and start looking for what the next level looks like now, right? Because sometimes the opportunity is going to arrive before you think you're ready yet, right? So, or sometimes the opportunity will take a lot longer than you think it's going to take
Yeah.
as well, so it works both ways, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
for us as Pacific Islanders, okay, for us as Pacific Islanders, this is the one thing as well, me being over here, it's not enough that I am doing well and doing what I love, right? For me, it's about how I'm giving back, and this session is all part of that as well, right? But for all this Pacific Islanders coming in from our small islands all over the world and coming to the UK or the US or wherever you are in the world, right? One of the things I say to you, there's going to be challenges in our life. There's going to be stuff coming in, and we're going to start doubting ourselves, right? So for me, it's making sure your why is big enough. And for me, there's two reasons why, for me, and why I do all the crazy things I do to step in my comfort zone. First up is I got two little girls, Lulu, right? So how do I tell my girls to follow their dreams if daddy doesn't do the same? Okay. I don't want to be one of these people that armchair, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, and then I'm doing
Yeah.
something else altogether, right? For me, it's like leading by example, right? And the second thing, like for like a lot of us, I got huge family back home in Fiji, right, and all over the world, right? And they're watching me on your Facebook and stuff. What the hell is this crazy guy doing today, right? And the point of what I'm doing is I'm blazing a completely new trail altogether, right?
Mhm.
Completely new trail altogether. And I'm taking on that responsibility for my friends, my family, and everybody back home to say, hey, you want to do something different? You want to do something out of the ordinary? If I can do it coming from Fiji, where the heck not any of you? Right? So it's putting myself out there every single day. If you see me on LinkedIn, I'm on video every single day on LinkedIn, right? And it's putting myself out there because the next generation that want to come and do this, I'll have made it that big easier for them because I've set the path and say, hey, done these things here, do that right. And for us out there, it's opening up the possibility and the opportunity that not all of you will want to go back to work. Some of you might think about setting up your own business,
Setting
right?
up their own consultancy, and
Consultancy.
it's that thing, like that push.
Yes,
Um,
it's that push.
yeah,
Yes.
I did this with one of my friends, to be honest, James.
Yeah.
Um, I went to school with her, and she had gone and done she had done a master's in Australia, and then she had gone and done a fellowship, kind of
Mm.
like the Fulbright fellowship in the US. And when she came, she it hit COVID when she was there.
Oh my
So then
goodness.
she came back, and then she didn't have a job to go back into. And we had some conversations, and then I said to her, there's no one doing this particular thing that you're trying to do for these academics. It was like, why don't you like if you think about setting up your own consultancy? And
Yeah.
maybe the reason why it's taking you a while to get a job,
Mm.
you've interviewed in some of the high profile jobs. She's in HR,
Yeah.
psychology background as well, and
Yeah.
people in management, and then just do it. Just step in there and take it. Like it's got to take some bravery, but you've got nothing to lose at the moment.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And what I want to say to everyone, I've actually helped a couple of my candidates step into entrepreneurship as well, right?
Mhm.
And the core of all of that is understanding the value of your achievements and what you've done in the past.
Mhm.
Because if you think of a CV as a marketing document, right?
Mhm.
And you're pitching of the best of you and how it fits the problem what the hiring manager is looking for, it's the same thing when you do a marketing document to fix a company's problems from a consultancy perspective,
Right.
right? Right? But in a consultancy, you might not doing it just by you. You're going to be doing it for everybody else working as well. So you can combine not just my 20 years experience, but 80 years experience with four people combined, for example. Right?
Mhm.
So it's still a pitch document. Okay.
Yeah.
But it also means that each one of the person, like I say, you want to set up your own consultancy,
Yeah.
understand the value of what you've done in the past and the impact
Yeah.
to the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's what Lulu started. Everything's about bottom line. If you can show a manager, if you show a company how investment in your product, your service can increase the return on investment by up to 10 times or more,
Mhm.
that's a no-brainer decision,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you place different words together
Hmm.
and it completely changes how we feel and how others feel about us as well.
Yeah.
Right. So it works both ways. So like I said, yeah, Lulu, thank you so much for allowing me to come in and just share this and talk with me and Joan. You're like Lulu said, no, you do your thing. I said, no, 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 we're going to sit down, we're going to talk together and do this together. Okay. So like for those of you watching, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Dream Job Secrets is my handle, but I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I play. LinkedIn is my playground, and there's me doing silly videos every day on LinkedIn as well. So like I said, happy to connect with there as well, and I'll make sure I share the link after this, Lulu. And like I said, just share this information out there. I do a lot of this stuff, but not it's all useless if people don't use it. Right? Knowledge is useless until we actually use it. So Lulu,
Yes.
like I said, yeah, that's me. Thank you very much for having me. Any last questions before you let me go?
No, thank you so much, James. Yeah, I don't know if Margaret has any questions. Margaret, did you want to come off mute and ask questions? You wanted to, if you had any questions for tonight. But thank you so much. Thank you, James, for your session today. Um, and I believe we're going to have a couple of sessions because moving on towards the half of the year when the students from international students are going to go back, that's when they really start to get into the grind of looking for jobs.
Yeah,
And
when the pain gets a bit
yeah,
more, yes, yes,
yeah. Or even like for those who have jobs to go to, think about then, okay, I'm going back to the same job. They might promote me, they might not promote me, they might just pay me more. But what else can I do now? Now with this like
yes,
qualification
exactly,
and this,
exactly that.
how am I going to, and like in Fiji, especially especially the students in Fiji, um um is the hub of where the international organizations are, like UN and all the regional organizations as well, SPCs, PrEP and all that. And from the other Pacific Islands, it's always like a dream to move and work in
Yes,
Fiji regionally because that is a stepping stone to going, overseas to
everywhere else.
Australia
Yes,
and New Zealand, even to the UK. Like we have some great Pacific people in the UN in Geneva. I've been to Switzerland and I've met some of them there. And they're always being appointed. I always like, I'm always like cheerleading on the side when they appoint a Pacific Islander to like
yes.
one of the, like there was a WHO, I think the chief nurse is a Tongan. So it's always like fantastic, like
Well
like
done.
when we
Yes.
can get people into those kind of roles because if you representation is one step towards just
So,
being
so, so,
for everybody
and I
else.
definitely support that as well. And Lulu, what I always say to people is, representation is great, and we
Hmm.
can do more representation when we can better communicate the value and what we bring to the table, right? So that
Yes,
making sure
yes,
that you're not just a diversity hire, making sure that
no,
actually this person can actually do the job, right?
yeah,
And one of the
yeah,
things I want to say, especially for us Pacific Islanders coming to, the UK and to all this world as well, we grow up learning how to do more with less, right?
that
So
is so true.
and that's the innovation in all of us because like I mean, I remember me as a kid growing up and we're making up our own toys. The tire and the wheel and the pani
Yeah,
and all the games you play at home, just because we didn't have games and stuff. So the creativeness that we can do to make things
yeah.
happen and fix things, and
Mm.
that's one of our superpowers from the Pacific, right? We
Oh
see
yeah,
things differently
definitely.
because we never or ever have all the resources we need to get things done.
No,
So we know how to do more with less. What we don't know how to do is to connect that to the impact to the bottom line.
right.
That's the
Yes.
only thing that's missing is the impact to the bottom line,
Hmm.
right? And when you understand how to tell that story,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, you see, Lulu, as what we've done here as well in all my courses, I don't write CVs for people.
Mm-hmm.
I teach them how to fish for themselves, right? Because this skill, once you master it,
Hmm.
you can never complain that you're stuck in a toxic job ever again,
That's yeah, so true.
right? Like I said, no one's coming to save us. We want
No.
it. There's tools and the skills there, okay? So the other thing for the people that watch this afterwards, speak to Lulu because to say is I said, I'm a resource to here to help, right? But I've got so much information in here. I'm led by what the students need and what's going, right? So
That's it. Yeah.
if you need an interview session, you want to talk a bit more about the CV or
Yeah.
clarity or job search or LinkedIn, I can do all of that. but there's no point me just throwing stuff out there unless I know what it is the people need.
That you want specifically, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank
I
you so
just go
much,
for it.
James.
Vinaka
Thank you for
Lulu, thank you so much for
sharing.
your time.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
for
having
the
me.
singing session.
Yeah.
Margaret doesn't have any burning
Yeah.
questions, she's saying. But yeah, but you did connect with Margaret, so you're gonna have a conversation with her
Yeah.
offline as well
Yes.
about her year she's taking a gap year before she goes into
Yes,
uni
good
and she hopes
stuff. Yeah,
to get
and like I said, Margaret, I said I'm on all the social media channels, and if you watch
yeah,
that video that Lulu sent earlier,
yeah,
that's basically for high school students because that's exactly the same slides I use when I go to volunteer at the high schools around me as well. So that should be
yeah.
helpful as well.
Yeah, and so Margaret, I would recommend connecting with James. Not only like like I know you said you were looking for a job at the moment, but also however he's going to help you now is going to help you as well. I know a lot of the students also look for part-time jobs while they're in university,
Yes,
so all
exactly.
of
So
this
this
will
will help
help
you
as
as
well.
well.
Yeah,
Yes, this can help you find part-time jobs at university, but that experience in those part-time jobs
yeah,
will also help you when you're going for a full-time job afterwards as well. So
that's
it's all
it. Yeah,
related, it's all
and
useful.
how to like tell that story to
Yes,
get you like the
exactly
next
that.
job. Yeah, but
Cool.
thank you so much, James. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Margaret, for attending today.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Margaret.
I think Sawila dropped off midway through the call.
Yes.
But again, thank you for bringing your knowledge and expertise to our platform.
Thank you
And
for
we'll
coming along and playing with me. Yeah, Lulu.
always a pleasure. And thank you for future sessions as well. I'm thanking you in
Yes,
advance, but
yes.
I'll tap you again for our
So,
future sessions
she's
as
already
we go through the year.
volunteered me for more sessions. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in here for the UK Pacific students, but also we might have a women specific session, please, James. And again, like you said, the confidence,
Tell me
like I
what
want
it's all
people to have the
confidence.
confidence. Yeah,
Everything is confidence. And for me, when I speak to people, it's all about authentic confidence,
yeah,
right? Because for me, it's like if I don't believe it in myself, I don't care what anybody else says. I like so I work on authentic confidence, and like I said, we, especially for you ladies and everything, you
mhm,
all of you guys do all the hard, amazing work behind the scenes, and we don't see it. And
yeah,
for me, it's just like, yeah, but if you just understand the impact of what you're doing, right? So, for
yeah,
example, Lulu is doing this right now, right? How many lives is going to touch, not just for now, but for the future when this goes on to YouTube after?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, James.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me,
Have a good
Lulu.
evening. Thank you,
Bye bye.
Margaret. Thank you for
Bye bye,
coming,
Margaret.
and see you next time.